What you're about to witness is the most disgusting, the most calculated, and possibly the most career-altering betrayal in recent wrestling history. And if you think you can defend what Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, and especially Paul Heyman did to Seth Rollins in Perth, then you're either delusional or you've completely forgotten what loyalty means in this business. I'm dead serious when I say this might be the one moment that divides the entire wrestling community down the middle, and by the time we're done here, you'll either be screaming in agreement with me or furiously typing in the comments about why I'm wrong, but either way, you need to stay until the very end, because what happened in that ring wasn't just a turn, it was a systematic destruction of everything Seth Rollins has built, and I've got receipts that'll make your blood boil. Let's set the stage here because context matters, and Perth wasn't just any random show. This was supposed to be Seth Rollins' moment to shine on international soil, bringing his revolutionary vision to the Australian crowd who've been starving for top-tier wrestling action. The visionary had been building momentum, talking about creating a new era, bringing together talent who believed in something bigger than championships and ego. He extended his hand to Bron Breakker, seeing the raw potential in Steiner's nephew, recognizing that this second-generation powerhouse needed guidance and direction. He reached out to Bronson Reed, the Australian wrecking ball who'd been criminally underutilized, giving him a platform and treating him like the legitimate threat he deserves to be. And then there's Paul Heyman, the so-called wise man, the advocate who's turned on more people than a rotating door but somehow convinced Seth that this time would be different, that he genuinely believed in the vision. The crowd in Perth was electric, absolutely deafening as Seth made his entrance, and you could feel the energy radiating through the screen. These fans showed up believing they were going to witness something special, a united front of destruction ready to take over the wrestling landscape. Seth stood in the ring with genuine emotion in his eyes, talking about brotherhood, about trust, about building something that would outlast all of them. He put his reputation on the line, vouching for these men, telling the world that together they would be unstoppable. Bron Breakker stood there nodding, playing the part of the eager student. Bronson Reed, hometown hero, soaking in the adoration of his people, looking like a man grateful for the opportunity. And Paul Heyman, that snake in a suit, delivering promos about loyalty and destiny with such conviction that even the most cynical fans started to believe. Then it happened, and I want you to remember exactly how this went down because the details matter. Seth turned his back for just a moment, addressing the crowd, his arms spread wide in that signature pose, vulnerable and trusting. Paul Heyman's expression changed first, that subtle shift from supportive manager to calculating manipulator, and if you go back and watch the footage, you can see him give the slightest nod. That was the signal. Bronson Reed moved first, and the sound of his body colliding with Seth's back echoed through the arena like a gunshot. Seth went down hard, confusion written all over his face, and before he could even process what was happening, Bron Breakker was on him like a wild animal, delivering clubbing blows with a viciousness we'd never seen from him before. The crowd went from cheering to stunned silence to erupting in nuclear heat, and this wasn't fun heel heat, this was genuine anger, genuine disgust at what they were witnessing. But it didn't stop there, and this is when it gets truly sickening. Reed pulled Seth up, holding him in position while Breakker backed up, measuring him for the devastating spear that's put away everyone from legends to rookies. Seth's eyes were pleading, not with fear but with betrayal, looking at these men he trusted and seeing nothing but cold calculation staring back. The spear nearly cut him in half, and Seth crumpled like a broken building, but they were done. Reed climbed to the top rope, all 260 pounds of him, and delivered the tsunami splash from the heavens, crushing whatever fight Seth had left in him. The referee was trying to stop it, security was rushing in, and the Perth crowd was showering the ring with transient vitriol, but Paul Heyman stood ringside with a microphone and a characteristic smirk, the look of a man who just executed the perfect plan. Heyman's promo afterward was chilling in its honesty and brutal in its assessment. He told the world that Seth Rollins was never the visionary, he was just a man clinging to relevance, desperately trying to create a legacy by surrounding himself with real talent. He said Bron Breakker didn't need Seth's guidance because he's a Steiner, and greatness runs through his veins naturally. He praised Bronson Reed as the most devastating force in wrestling today, held back not by lack of opportunity but by being associated with Seth's failing vision. Heyman declared himself the true architect of this new faction, and that Seth was just a placeholder, a temporary leader until the real powers were ready to take control. The disrespect was palpable, the dismissiveness cutting deeper than any physical attack could have. Now let's talk about why this hurt so much and why this matters beyond just another wrestling angle. Seth Rollins has spent years rebuilding his reputation after his own heel turns and betrayals. He's been open about his mistakes, about learning from them, about becoming a better person and performer. He positioned himself as a locker room leader, someone the younger generation could look up to, someone who would help elevate others rather than hold them down. This wasn't just kayfabe character development, this was Seth the person putting in real work to be better. And what's his reward? Getting his heart ripped out on international television by men who genuinely tried to help, orchestrated by a manipulator who's made a career out of exploiting people's trust. Think about what this says to Bron Breakker's character moving forward. He's now forever marked as someone who took the easy path, who couldn't make it on his own merits and needed to align himself with established manipulators and use betrayal as his launching pad. Is that really the foundation you want for someone who's supposed to be the future? And Bronson Reed, who should be celebrating finally getting proper recognition, instead his big moment is tied to cowardly attacking someone from behind in his own country. The Australian fans should be celebrating their hero, instead they're conflicted, angry, feeling betrayed themselves because Reed chose violence and treachery over honor. But Paul Heyman, let's really focus on him because this is where the anger should truly be directed. How many times are we going to watch this man destroy people from the inside? How many careers have to be derailed? How many hearts have to be broken before someone stands up and says enough is enough? Heyman has turned on Brock Lesnar multiple times, he's manipulated CM Punk, he's used Roman Reigns, and now he's decimated Seth Rollins. At what point does someone's track record of betrayal become so expensive that trusting them becomes the victim's fault? Some of you in the comments will defend Heyman, saying he's just playing his character brilliantly, that this is what makes wrestling compelling, but I'm telling you right now that there's a difference between good storytelling and repetitive, predictable betrayal that teaches the audience that trust and loyalty are weaknesses to be exploited. The implications of this turn extend far beyond these four men. What message does this send to the locker room? That building alliances is pointless because everyone will eventually stab you in the back. That the only way to succeed is to strive first, trust no one, and operate purely out of self-interest. That's not the wrestling business I fell in love with, and that's not the product that creates legendary moments and emotional connections with fans. The greatest factions in wrestling history, from the Four Horsemen to the Shield to D-Generation the 10th, worked because there was genuine chemistry and loyalty. Even when they eventually split, those breakups meant something, because the bonds felt real. What happened in Perth was cold, calculated, and designed specifically to generate cheap heat without laying the groundwork for compelling long-term storytelling. Where do we go from here? Seth Rollins will obviously want revenge, but against three men and a master manipulator, how does he realistically overcome those odds without making them look weak? If he gets his redemption too quickly, the turn means nothing. If it takes too long, fans lose interest and move on to the next story. This is the problem with shock value booking, it creates a momentary spike in attention, but rarely pays off in satisfying conclusions. And let's address the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Some of you watching this are going to say I'm being too emotional, that I'm working myself into a shoot, that this is just entertainment and I need to relax. But here's the thing, wrestling works because we invest emotionally in these characters and stories. When that investment is repeatedly punished with lazy betrayal angles, when loyalty is constantly portrayed as stupidity and manipulation as intelligence, it erodes the foundation of what makes this medium special. I'm not angry because I don't understand it's scripted, I'm angry because the people scripting it keep choosing the easiest, most cynical path forward instead of crafting something meaningful. The Perth crowd deserve better than watching their hometown hero participate in a cowardly ambush. Seth Rollins deserved better than having his character's growth and development undermined by yet another betrayal angle. Bron Breakker deserved a better start to what should be his rise to the top than being positioned as someone who needs veterans to carry him. And wrestling fans worldwide deserve better than watching the same tired storylines play out with different names attached. This isn't innovation, this isn't revolutionary, this is the same playbook that's been used 1,000 times, and honestly, we should all be tired of it by now. So here's what I want from you right now, drop a comment and tell me if I'm overreacting or if you feel the same frustration. Do you think this turn was necessary, or could they have built this faction without destroying Seth Rollins in the process? Are you excited to see where this goes, or you